Grandma oddly useful life hacks you won't see today. Grandmas all over the world have always been the source of the best life hacks, but as time progressed, some of these life hacks were left behind in time. Let's go over some of those life hacks that we probably won't see today. Number 1. Whacking the side of the TV to clear the picture. Whacking the side of the TV to clear a picture may seem like an outdated and somewhat humorous approach, but it has roots in the early days of television technology. In the past, when TVs used old technology called cathode ray tubes, gently tapping or hitting the side of the TV could sometimes fix issues like a flickering or distorted picture. This would realign the internal parts or connections, temporarily making the picture clear. This method became a common, albeit unofficial, troubleshooting technique among users who were frustrated with their TV's performance. However, this approach is not useful for modern flat-screen TVs that use different technology, as hitting them is unlikely to solve picture problems and may even cause damage. Nevertheless, the notion of whacking a TV remains a nostalgic reminder of simpler times in television history, reflecting the ingenuity and resourcefulness of viewers who sought immediate solutions to their viewing dilemmas. While modern flat-screen TVs have rendered this hack obsolete, it remains a reminder of earlier technological challenges and the creative, if not unconventional, solutions people devised to enhance their viewing experiences. Number 2. Using a pencil to fix a cassette tape. In the 1950s and 1960s, when cassette tapes became popular for recording and playing music, a common problem was tape spooling issues. Cassette tapes, encased in small plastic shells, were prone to getting jammed, which could ruin the audio experience. A widely used and inventive solution which is used by the people of that time is a pencil, which was widely used as a hack. It was a very useful and famous life hack back in the time. If a tape became loose or misaligned, one could insert the pencil into the small reel and gently turn it. This action would help rewind or realign the tape, smoothing out any tangles or fixing the spool. The pencil's thin, cylindrical shape was perfect for fitting into the reel's center and turning it with precision. This simple tool worked as a quick reel winder and helped avoid more difficult repairs or replacing the tape. The practice of using a pencil became a well-known, handy trick among cassette tape users, reflecting the resourcefulness of the era. As technology advanced and cassette players improved, this method gradually fell out of use, but it remains as a nostalgic reminder of the DIY solutions people use to maintain their beloved music and recording equipment. Number 3. Using a pillowcase to dust ceilings. Using a pillowcase to dust ceiling fans was a widely embraced life hack for managing household cleanliness in the early 1950s and 60s. Ceiling fans, which can accumulate a significant amount of dust over time, often pose a challenge when it comes to cleaning. To address this issue, many people adopted the clever technique of using an old pillowcase for dusting. The process is straightforward, yet highly effective. By slipping a pillowcase over the blade fans and gently wiping them, the dust is captured and contained within the fabric. This method prevents the dust from falling off and spreading throughout the room, which would otherwise require additional cleanup. The soft material of the pillowcase ensures that the blades are cleaned without causing scratches or damage. Additionally, using a pillowcase reduces the need for paper towels or disposable cloths, making it an eco-friendly choice. This technique is not only practical, but also economical. It repurposes a household item that might otherwise be discarded, making it a sustainable option for maintaining cleanliness. Over time, this simple yet effective method has become a staple in many households, reflecting how small, creative solutions can significantly improve daily chores. By adopting the pillowcase method, individuals have found an easy way to keep their ceiling fans dust-free while also minimizing the mess and effort involved in traditional cleaning methods. Number 4. Sticking an out-of-order sign on parking meters. In the early days of parking meters, frustrated drivers sometimes resorted to creative measures to avoid paying for parking. One common tactic was to stick an out-of-order sign on a malfunctioning or broken meter, allowing them to park for free. This practice took advantage of the fact that parking enforcement officers often had no way to quickly verify if the meter was genuinely broken or if a sign had been placed there illegally. The out-of-order sign had become popular in the mid-20th century as parking meters became more widespread in cities across the United States. Drivers who didn't have spare change or didn't want to pay the meter fee would simply affix a handwritten or printed sign to the meter, counting on the honor system to avoid a ticket. Some enterprising individuals even made and sold generic out-of-order signs specifically for this purpose. While clever, this tactic was considered a form of meter tampering and could result in fines or penalties if caught. As parking enforcement became more sophisticated, with officers able to quickly check meter status, the effectiveness of the out-of-order sign diminished. Today, most modern meters have digital displays and wireless connectivity, making it nearly impossible to fool the system with a simple sign. However, the practice remains a nostalgic example of how resourceful drivers once outsmarted the parking meter system. Number 5. Calling a number on a rotary dial phone to get the time and weather. In the days before smartphones and instant internet access, people relied on rotary dial phones to obtain information, like the time and weather. This practice was particularly common in the mid-20th century when many households had rotary phones, which required users to physically rotate the dial to input numbers. To find out the current time or weather conditions, individuals would call a specific number, often a local service provided by the telephone company. Upon dialing, they would hear a recorded message or a live operator who would provide the requested information. This service was especially useful for those who needed to plan their day, whether for work, travel, or outdoor activities. The simplicity of this process made it a popular choice, as it allowed people to stay informed without needing to rely on newspapers or radio broadcasts. The experience of calling for the time or weather had a communal feel, as many would share the same number and listen to the same announcements. As technology evolved and digital devices became commonplace, this practice faded away. However, it remains a nostalgic reminder of a time when obtaining information required more effort and patience, showcasing the unique charm of communication in the pre-digital age. Number 6. Copy, cut, and paste using a photocopier, scissors, and glue when you needed to alter a document. Before computers, people used photocopiers, scissors, and glue to change documents. This was an early life hack called the copy, cut, and paste. First, they would photocopy the original document to make a clean copy to work with. Then they would use scissors to cut out parts of the photocopy that needed to be removed and moved around. This could be deleting paragraphs, changing pictures, or moving text blocks. After cutting out the pieces, they would carefully place them on the new layout. To keep the changes in place, they would use glue sticks or liquid glue to stick the cut-out pieces down. This hands-on process needed precision and creativity. People had to imagine what the final document would look like while physically moving paper around. It was time-consuming and sometimes messy, but it made people feel like they were crafting the document. Eventually, computers and digital editing programs replaced this cut-and-paste method. But many people still feel nostalgic about using scissors and glue to change documents, even though it's much easier to do on a computer now. This early life hack shows how resourceful people were before modern technology made things easier. Number 7. Vintage cleaning with vinegar and baking soda. In the 1950s, vinegar and baking soda became popular and widely used for cleaning because they were both inexpensive and effective. People found vinegar very useful because it can cut through dirt and grime on various surfaces. It was commonly used to clean countertops, freshen up carpets, and even clean windows. Vinegar's natural acidity made it a good disinfectant and deodorizer, making homes smell fresh and clean. Baking soda was equally valued for its cleaning powder. Its mild abrasiveness helped scrub away stubborn stains, and it was excellent for neutralizing odors. When mixed with vinegar, baking soda helped unclog drains and clean out grime. The fizzy reaction between baking soda and vinegar created bubbles that lifted dirt and debris more easily. This method of cleaning was not only cost-effective, but also environmentally friendly. It showed how people in the 1950s made the most of simple, everyday items to keep their homes spotless. By using vinegar and baking soda, they were able to maintain a clean and healthy living environment while sticking to a budget. This practical approach to housekeeping reflected a time when resourcefulness and simplicity were key to managing a household effectively. Number 8. Old newspapers for packing. In the 1950s and 1960s, old newspapers were commonly used as packing material for fragile items during moves or while storing things. Newspapers were a cheap and effective way to protect delicate belongings from damage. People would crumple or fold the newspapers and use them to wrap glassware, dishes, and other breakable items. This added a layer of cushioning that helped absorb shocks and prevent items from chipping or cracking. Newspapers were also used to fill empty spaces in boxes, preventing items from shifting around during transportation. This was especially helpful for packing items like vases or collectibles, which needed extra protection to avoid being damaged. By using newspapers, people could save money on packing materials and still ensure their possessions were well protected. When the moving or storage job was done, newspapers were often recycled, which was another way to make use of old paper and reduce waste. This practice of reusing newspaper reflected a practical and resourceful mindset, as it made the most of available resources and helped keep costs down. Overall, using old newspapers for packing was a simple yet effective solution that helped people move and store their fragile items safely and economically. Number 9. Repurposing glass jars. Call them mason jars or grandma's special jars, which are no less versatile than a Swiss knife. Once grandmas all around the world discovered these jars, they weren't just for holding food anymore. They were used for decorating, organizing, lighting, or saving your spare change. Mason jars are glass jars designed for home canning to preserve food. Given that they're cheap, sturdy, and reliable, available in thrift stores or quite possibly your basement, they're the perfect starting point for hacks that turn them into everything from soap dispensers to pendant light globes. We can all remember those jars around every corner of our grandma's house serving their use. Some would be used as candle holders to create ambience around the house by reusing old jars to house favorite pillars or tea lights. A table next to Grandma's chair would always have a mason jar stuffed with a sewing cushion full of pins ready at her disposal. All these glass jars of various shapes and sizes that our Grandma saves. They also make for great little vases by themselves to hold flowers. Number 10. Homemade ice packs. Remember bruising yourself while you were out playing on a visit to your Grandma's? Grandma had the perfect cure for it as well. Her special homemade ice packs. They are a classic and simple solution for saying goodbye to the nasty pain and ugly swelling. They are often made using common household items, making them both convenient and easy on the wallet. If you have some active, accident-prone kids yourself, we can teach you how you can make your own. You know those blue ice packs that are sort of frozen, sort of not? It's surprisingly easy to make those. All you need is a zip top or vacuum seal type plastic bag and some dish soap. Squirt the dish soap into the bag, remove excess air, and pop it into the freezer. You may want to double bag this just in case. You don't want to risk getting soap all over your clothes or lunch. We've heard of kids having a mouthful of soap because of the blue candy-like color, so you may want to warn your kids just in case. Unless you want them to have a really clean mouth, of course. Even though homemade ice packs can come in handy to save your hands, literally, they weren't efficient because of their leakiness and inability to mold into the right shapes, and have since been replaced with medicated ice packs that are present in every first aid box in your house. Number 11. Salt for smelly shoes. If you've ever dealt with stinky shoes, you know how difficult it is to get rid of that funky smell. Airing out the shoes isn't enough, and sometimes using store-bought deodorizer simply doesn't work. Then you feel as if you wasted your money, right? So, what other option is there? Well, Grandma has the best answer of all: salt. Nobody hates smelly shoes more than grandmas, and so they came up with the best way to get rid of this plague. Salt is both moisturizer and odor absorbing, essential for fixing your shoe problem. Put a little salt in a fabric baggie and secure the top. You can also put a couple of dryer sheets inside your shoes for extra insurance, but those may not be as effective since they don't absorb moisture. You can always use rice with salt as well to make it more effective, and when you're finished, throw it in a pan with some potatoes and baby, you got stew going. Number 12. Removing eggshells. One of the worst parts of cooking is when you crack an egg only to have some shell fall into your bowl. No matter how much you chase that shard around with your fingers or a spoon, it keeps slipping away. But of course, you can't just leave the shell in the bowl. Nobody wants to crunch down on some shell while eating breakfast. What would Granny do? Well, she would crack the egg on a flat surface instead of the edge of a bowl. Apparently this reduces the risk of eggshells dropping into the bowl with the rest of the egg. And heaven forbid you get a bit of shell in with your egg, wet your finger before trying to retrieve it. That will attract the shell to your finger. Number 13. Apple cider vinegar for sore throats. Sore throats are what scares adults the most, and whenever this annoying condition comes back to haunt them, they go back to their childhood memory of Granny's special way of fighting it: a shot of good old cider vinegar to scare it away. Vinegar is acidic and can kill bacteria in the throat, and also coat and soothe a sore throat. It has been useful for centuries due to its antibacterial properties and other health benefits. You may want to consider rubbing apple cider vinegar on your throat and around your sinuses. The powerful smell of apple cider vinegar may help you loosen your congestion and help you breathe easier while your body fights off a bacterial or viral infection. Like other kinds of vinegar, apple cider vinegar is acidic. Its acid content can irritate your stomach lining and contribute to acid reflux. It should be diluted with water before you drink it. Remember, always dilute your ACV because no one likes a throat that feels pickled. And if your sore throat sticks around longer than a guest at a family reunion, you may want to get some lozenges as well. Number 14. Baking soda to remove odors from refrigerators. Ever opened your fridge and felt nauseated by the whiff of the most sour-smelling odor possible? Well, if you're still confused and looking for ways to get rid of it, look no further than your own grandma's cheat sheet. She had a solution for just about everything. So, what is behind that mystery smell? It could be anything: rotting vegetables, forgotten fish, spoiled milk. But no matter what is causing that foul smell, one thing is certain: it can surely spoil your appetite. Thankfully, this is an age-old dilemma that Granny knew how to solve. So our old friend baking soda comes to the rescue again. Just putting an open box of this miracle powder on a shelf in your fridge can do wonders in cutting down on the smell. Then, for even faster action, empty the box into a bowl so it can absorb the odor quickly. Even though grannies all over the world can attest to this method and have used them for decades, modern cleaners have replaced the baking soda as the ultimate weapon against dirt and bad odors but people still resort to this cheap and efficient technique to get rid of unwanted odors from their refrigerators. Number 15. Bins stocked with rags. Being thrifty was second nature to our grandmothers, and they never let good fabric go to waste. They would keep old clothes and linens and cut them up into rags. Throwing away good enough clothes or bed sheets in the trash was like signing your death sentence from Grandma. Rags like these are great to use for all kinds of cleaning jobs, and they're much better for the environment than using paper towels. Every granny's house would have bins full of all kinds of rags that could be used for any occasion or emergency. From being used as bandages for paper cuts or any other cuts, to being made into handkerchiefs. These rags always came in handy. Grandma would even use them to knit together something for the pets to keep them warm. We're not sure if the pets like that though. So, instead of tossing out your old clothes, use them to stock up a bin of cleaning rags. Number 16. Neat way to remember months. We all remember the struggle of learning the months of the calendar and not knowing which one had 30 or 31 days. We're afraid to admit it, but most of us are still not sure. Some are very easy to remember, like February because it's a short month. But how are you expected to remember how many days are in August? So for those of our viewers who are embarrassed of asking their grannies about this cheat, we'll tell it to you ourselves. You can use your knuckles as a handy cheat sheet. Make your hands into fists and hold them side by side. Starting with your first knuckle, assign each knuckle and indentation a month as you go through the year. The higher points, or knuckles, have 31 days. The lower points, indentations, are the shorter months. You'll finish July on the knuckle of your first hand and jump right over to your next hand's knuckle for August. It all lines up perfectly. That's a fun method often used to teach kids, but who says adults can't use it as well, right? The use of mobile phones and easy access to a calendar have made things easy for people on the other hand, and they've stopped using this neat little trick since, but you can still find out who knows about it if you ask somebody how many days the current month has, and if they start counting this way. Number 17. Vinegar to clean carpets. When it comes to cleaning, there's nobody we can trust more than Grandma herself. Carpet stains are every homeowner's nightmare, and even a tiny spill from juice to wine can make them scream out in pain. Getting those stains out of the carpet is just as horrific, and that's where Granny came in with her proven life hack to save the day. While expensive carpet cleaners certainly do an excellent job, there was a much cheaper alternative that has likely been lurking in your cupboard for years. White vinegar may sound like something your grandma would use to do her cleaning, but it is an effective cleaning solution for a huge amount of household jobs, including your carpet. But remember, it is acidic and has the ability to remove color from carpet, so it needs to be diluted. White vinegar can be used to lift stains and marks from your carpets and can be used as part of a steam cleaning solution. If you want a cheaper and easier alternative without the chemicals, you can rely on an old store cupboard favorite, baking soda. Remember that baking soda is different from baking powder, and the former will do a much better job. Baking soda acts as an absorbent material that will lift moisture and smells from your carpets, as well as leaving it fresh as a daisy. Although these methods were effective and efficient, the advent of modern cleaners and detergents have long since led to the decline in their use. Number 18. Bubble gum stuck on the carpet. The only thing worse on a carpet than a stain is bubble gum. Coming across one on a new carpet is enough to make a homeowner freak out and possibly go into a coma as well. We hope that never happens though. Chewing gum is definitely on the list of the last things you would want on your carpet. In the old days, chewing gum used to be a nightmare just as it is today. The nightmare problem with gum is that while it is still wet, it is simply too stretchy to remove from the carpet, as it breaks away and leaves even harder bits to remove. And leaving it to dry is not the answer too, as it becomes hard and melded into the carpet fibers. And so you can find many different people with their ways to get rid of these nasty things that always seem to leave a piece of them behind. Well, the answer to this problem back in the day used to be to freeze the gum before it dries. Grab an ice cube from the fridge and hold it on the gum for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then the gum will become much more firm and will allow you to peel it off the carpet. If there is remaining residue, then wet the carpet with clean water to allow the fibers to become more slippery. The rest should come off right away. This might take a few goes to get it all off though. So if you're ever in trouble with a bubble gum stuck to your carpet, you don't have to call your grandma and bother her about it. Number 19. Newspapers to stretch shoes. One of the biggest disappointments you can feel is getting new shoes and finding out they're tighter than usual. Stretching them out by wearing them is a painful task not many are brave enough to undertake. Therefore, the age-old resourceful grannies came up with an elaborate technique to make sure you can stretch your shoes without the pain of actually having your feet crushed by them. If you're tired of trampling around the house in new shoes, trying to stretch them out, then you can use other objects to stretch the shoes instead of your feet. An old-fashioned way to do this is to simply stuff your shoes with newspapers. The pressure and shape of the tightly bundled newspaper will slowly and gently stretch out the shoe. If you don't have crumpled up newspaper lying around, use a few pair of socks and try overstuffing them into the shoes to get the same effect. In a few days, the shoes should become noticeably roomier. These days, this job has been taken over by artificial stretchers that promise to do the job in minutes instead of taking all night or next day like they used to back in the olden days. Number 20. Satchets to ward off moths. Before mothballs were ever a thing, people used natural satchets to protect their clothes from moths and other insects. Clothing moth infestations can happen before you know it. Seemingly insignificant little moths lay larvae that grow up munching beloved sweaters and other textured textiles into holy messes. This method is not only effective, but also free from harmful chemicals, making it safer for both humans and the environment. Grandmas would knit dried lavender, cloves, and cedar chips into neat little sachets and put them inside clothes to ward off the pesky moths and other insects invading to feast on them. These sachets would not only scare away those fabric-eating bugs, but also leave your clothes and storage areas smelling fresh and fragrant. The scent and effectiveness of the sachets faded over time and would have to be replaced every 6 months or so. Even though safer, natural defenses not only protect clothing without endangering health, but benefit the shared environment as well. These natural sachets have been replaced with industrial mothballs that may do their job but leave a nasty smell on your clothes. They also pose a risk to pets and humans, along with hurting the environment, which makes us want to bring this cool life hack from Grandma back again. These were the 20 life hacks from grandmas that have been lost to time. If you feel like anything was missing, please tell us below in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more.